from the Australian Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here to introduce our webinar today, the first AusCham webinar, which is on resilience and coping strategies for COVID-19, remote working, mental health and connectedness. Just a few words about our speaker. Our speaker is Mai Holland, is the CEO and founder of eQuest Asia, and she specializes in emotional intelligence, neuro leadership, positive psychology, and mental toughness. So I would like now to hand you over to Mai, who will deliver this webinar. Welcome, Mai, and thank you very much for hosting this for us.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you very much, AusCham, for hosting this event. Let me share my screen so then we can have this journey together this morning. All right, so can you all see my screen? You all good? Yep. Okay, so this is what we are going to go through today. So this is really about talking about resilience and coping strategies. A lot of good things happening in Vietnam for the last few days, which is beautiful. Okay, so what we are going to talk about is really about the mind of a leader. So how we can really nurture the mind of a leader. And when we're talking about the mind, I'm really talking about the resilient mind. So our model of leadership at eQuest Asia is really understanding, more than the hard skill that we are already having. So it's really understanding about the emotional intelligence, the resilience, the neuroscience, or understanding how the brain is working, with mindfulness as well, and psychological safety, so then we can be able to flourish. And this is what really we want to help you with, understanding how we can be more efficient when we're understanding the mind, in addition to the hard skill that we have already. So I think we all agree with us that we need to move on. We need to uninstall what's happening to us already, and this is really going towards the future, towards more optimism. So I think that you all agree on this one. So if you have the chat room, you can put your emojis, thumbs up or thumbs down. Please do use your chat room. I think you have access down there, and so then we can have interaction. On the chat room as well, you can leave and post your questions. So any questions you're having, just write it there, and Brian will go through it, and we can answer them at the end of the session as well. Okay, all right. So the objective of this session today is really to help you to be more resilient, to help you to have strategies really to cope with this crisis that we're all going through. But even if we don't need to have a crisis, but we can still have this kind of strategy we can always use, whenever, even if it's not a crisis in the future. So the roadmap of today is understanding that, we are all human. We are all human beings, and really understanding the beauty of that, and also that it's not always what we think, and really go through it. Okay, working from home, so things are changing, but maybe not for everyone. The sitting issues, so this is a resilience technique that we're going to go through together. We're talking about the news overload, which is something which is a real issue, especially when we're dealing with stress. The mindset and belief, and the takeaways for everyone to hold on and practice. Okay, so the format is presentation, and then you have the chat room, and we will have a few polls during the session, and we have a short session of Q&A at the end, which will be moderated by Brian. Okay, so first point, I think it's very important to remember that we are only or just human being. And this is something which is truly important, that we forget about this. And I think in psychology at work, we usually forget that we are only human. We are not that CPU which work 24 hours a day and doesn't need any rest. And I think we forget something that, we need to be able to remember that we also have moments that we need to rest. And the moment to need to rest is really about our mind. Okay, so it's normal just to feel whatever we feel at the moment. If I ask in the room here, do we have any Superman or Superwoman? Do we have any Superman or Superwoman? And I hope that you are saying no, because this is the point I'm making. We are not Superman or not Superwoman at all. So this is the acceptance of understanding that we are human beings and we have our limitation. We don't have, unlimited strength like Superman or Superwoman, but we have our strength that we can nurture and use, which is quite different. Okay, so this is really about self-awareness. Okay, so let's have a check-in here. And I think that I'm going just to put, the poll. And I think that you can probably put the poll up for me, Simon. So let's have a check-in here, because I think I can't have access to the poll. Yes, thank you. So let's have a check-in here about how things are going with you. Okay, so first thing, I'd like you just to see the type of emotions that you are going through at the moment. So at the moment, how do you feel? Okay, and I'd like you just to go through the question here. Do you feel properly connected digitally with your supervisors or team members? Do you feel that you are doing enough to maintain good physical and mental health during COVID? Do you have clear boundaries between your private life and work life when you're working from home? Do you feel that you are managing stress well enough during COVID-19 period? So please do go through that poll, because I really want just us just to have a check-in, like really having that kind of sense of understanding what's happening to us at the moment. Okay, so I leave the poll on, and as soon as we can have the results, we can probably just share it at the end as well. Okay, so maybe we can just end the poll now and share the result. Okay, so yes, 91% are feeling that they are digitally connected with the team members and supervisors. This is excellent, and this is truly important. This is really about even if you over communicate, that doesn't matter. You need to feel connected. This is essential. Okay, the next one, do you feel that you're doing enough? So, which is beautiful. 74% are saying yes, which is absolutely wonderful. Do you have clear boundaries between private life and work life when working from home? Okay, so you can see here, so we have a no here, and we're going through strategies later. Okay, so thank you for sharing. Do you feel that you are managing stress well enough during the COVID-19? 70% are saying yes, and 30% are saying no. Okay, so this is very interesting, just to see how you are traveling this time together. So thank you very much for sharing. Okay. All right. So let's go through what's happening to us now. So things in Vietnam are changing, but I think that we have people who are connecting from, from Hanoi, from Australia, from New Zealand, and I think also a few people from Switzerland and also from the Philippines. So welcome everyone. This is the beauty of having a webinar. We don't have boundaries anymore. Okay, so the risk that we are going through at the moment is most of us are going through an unwanted lifestyle. And I think you all agree with us, even if, we're working from home, we love working from home, love being with the family. Sometimes we don't have the perfect setup, like the desk or whatsoever. We have children running around. So this is something that we have to address and to acknowledge and to accept. So setting a new routine is crucial, absolutely crucial. It's like going to work. You're staying from home for most of us, but still you have to have a routine. So you wake up in the morning, don't stay in bed till 10, wake up in the morning, have proper breakfast, have your work day like if it was like if you were going to the office. So this is truly important, just to have, like was milestone per day, having some time frame, time to have morning tea, afternoon tea, your lunchtime, but have a routine. And also have not just focusing on the to-do list, but also the to-be list, because this is crucial to go through that as well. I think you all agree with us, and you saw this before, that we are going through a 24-hour working mode, which is very difficult because we might not always have transition time. And this is what we call the third space. So setting up a transition. So transition means a physical transition. So it's really going out away from your desk, being able to have something else. So, even if you cannot go to the pool or doing the gym anymore, but go to physically to another room to make sure that you are moving away from your working space. So then your mind really register with yourself saying like, I am going out from my work mode, so then therefore I can rest. Okay, the mind needs to rest. The busy brain is something which happening even before COVID, but it's even more true even now. So this is really the issue that we're going through. So we are being overwhelmed, and this is something that we need to be aware of. Burnout exists more than ever. We are talking about a rate of twice the rate of a normal burnout that we are having before COVID, even if we are working from home. So it's crucial to be able to quiet your mind. So it can be, from, little things like, listening to music, again, going out of your desk, moving out from your workroom, doing anything that you want, playing music, read, watch Netflix, whatsoever. But meditation and yoga is usually the best strategy to be able to quiet your mind. And of course, when things are tough, we are going through that, what we call in psychology, the negative emotion spiral. So when you're feeling tired, you're feeling a little bit sad, you're feeling a bit frustrated, and then you can go to the next level, and the next level will go you to the next level, which is more intense. So being aware of that, you can feel it when you practice more mindfulness and more self-awareness and emotional intelligence. And the fix is really understanding that you can be aware and stop. You live, you're not only living once, you live every day. So really being aware that you can act on it, and being able to switch off that mode. Okay, so another thing I'm sure that you all agree with me is like, when we're going through crisis, or we're going through stress like what we're going through now, is like our health is going downhill. So I think you all agree with us. And we don't always pay attention to this because we think we are working from home, so therefore we are Superman, Superwoman. So taking care of our well-being is even more crucial. Okay, so this is the same tip as what we said before, but really being able to watch Netflix, or do a bit of gym, do a bit of gardening in your balcony if you can, or if you have a garden, it's even better. But really have that transition time, so then you are fully aware that you can move away from a downhill of health. Okay, most of us maybe can drink more, for instance, but that is not sustainable. So this is something that we have to be aware of. Okay. And because it's non-stop, we have that feeling that it's about, oh, everything is happening, you really go to that phase of poor me, it's all about me. So your world is shrinking. So you have the feeling that it's all about, things are happening just to me, and it's not true at all. So one way to fix that issue, so it's not just about you, is about nurturing gratitude. And nurturing gratitude is crucial in positive psychology, because we need to understand that it's about me, but also others. And the good things to do about this is, doing some journaling, understanding, counting your blessing, doing sports, and really rest your mind. So as you can see, there's a lot of same tips is about resting your mind. Okay, physical and emotional distancing has been notice for a lot of people, depending on the country where you're living now. But the fix to it is staying connected. So we have Zoom, we have Skype, we have WhatsApp, we have everything. It's crucial for human being to stay connected. It's very important because this is one of our basic emotional needs, to stay connected, physically or emotionally. And one thing which is also happening to us when we are going through strong and long stress as now, is that we have the feeling that we don't achieve. We have that sense of lack of achievement, which is not true at all. So we are not paying attention to what we have achieved so far, but we are just really going through that phase of I am not achieving enough. And this is a completely normal response for a lot of people. So we need to fix it, obviously. And what we can do is about, going through, the list of achievement that we can do from the morning till the afternoon. What have you done so far? Even if it's little, it's just being able to write it down. What have you achieved so far? And set some goals. What can you do? But those goals need to be realistic and achievable, obviously. So the word shrinks when we're stressed, and this is completely normal. This is like the poor me. We are thinking about ourselves. A way to help to go away from that risk is to remember that other people also needs help, and the thing that we can do is to help others as well, so to be in service. So a lot of examples around the world, about how we can help other people who are less fortunate than us. So this is really about giving, and giving is actually linked to gratitude as well. So in positive psychology, it's really helping you just to move forward and feel better. Okay, and I think that we all agree here that, most of us are working from home, so which is a lot of disruption, and because we have to adapt ourselves again to a new workspace. Sometimes it's good and sometimes more challenging for others, but it's okay. So I like everybody just to think about something, and I'm sure that you're all sitting now, and I like you just to do this, this poll number 2. So Simon, if you can just put the poll number 2 out, please. And I'd like you everybody just to stand up from your chair. So everybody stand up, and I'd like you to really go through this. We are sitting way too much. We are sitting way too much, and we don't realize this. And this is an issue here. And I think that most of you realize that we don't realize that sitting is the new smoking. Smoking is bad, and we all know about this, but we are not fully aware, actually, that sitting is the new smoking. And I'm going just to share with you some statistics which actually might really scare you. So a lot of us here are going, sitting from 5 to 8 hours, more than 8 hours as well. So you can see this is something like, this is the new normal, okay? But look at the statistics here. And I think this is really interesting. So 80% of the jobs that we are doing here doesn't need any physical activity. We spend about 8 to 9 hours a day now. And the latest statistics for Bloomberg after COVID, we're talking about 10 hours sitting a day. And 10 hours sitting a day is probably more than an equivalent of us smoking a packet of cigarette a day. And we know that cigarette is bad, but please do remember that sitting is as bad in terms of consequence on the health than smoking. So a lot of consequence on our physical health in terms of, cardiac arrest and everything. So I'd like to ask you now in your chat room, what do you do now? What kind of physical exercise do you do? Even if it's nothing, that is fine. Okay, so I'd like you just to have the intention of being authentic with yourself and just be true to yourself. What do you do now in terms of physical exercise, especially now that we don't have access to the gym anymore? Okay, so it can be 0, so that is fine, that's not an issue. But in the future, what will you do? Okay, so it's not a competition with other people. What I would like us to go through is actually a competition with ourselves. Okay, so it's okay to have to write 0. Maybe you do nothing, that is fine. But in the future, maybe you can, you can do some physical exercise at home. You can do push-ups. You can do, some kind of a kind of gym that you are setting up at home. So this is really just to raise awareness that we are sitting way too much and we don't do enough physical exercise. There's a lot of research showing that, it's crucial to mental health, like physical exercise. And why it's important? Because you have a lot of impact of, on physical health with our physical health and mental health. Okay, so let's share the results here. Let's just come back here. Okay, so 5 to 8 hours, so 20% are sitting, per day, which by the way is still a lot. Okay, so basically we are smoking a packet of cigarettes a day, basically. So look at the brain on the left and look at the brain on the right. So this is really the effect of the impact of sitting on the brain wave. So if we want to improve our focus, concentration, and our sharpness of the brain, so think about, physical exercise. You can see it's an impact on stress, an impact on anxiety, impact on fear, depression, obviously psychologically well-being, and think about something as well. It brings us a lot of oxygen in our brain and endorphins. Endorphins is crucial to happiness. So this is something which is crucial. We know that we need to do it, but please remember, if you want to feel less stress, well, you need to do at least a minimum of 10 minutes of exercise, physical exercise a day. Okay. So limiting our news overload is also another tip that I like us to be aware of. So we think we are reading a lot, and actually we're reading way too much. So we are overwhelmed, we are overloaded with information. Before COVID, just to give you an example, we were reading around the equivalent of 150 newspaper, those newspaper and paper. So this is what we were reading a day. So this is before COVID, 150 newspaper a day by scrolling our smartphone. Now it's even more, okay? And the brain is not designed to cope with an overload of information. So therefore, it's completely normal to feel stressed, to feel overloaded, to feel overwhelmed, and just to feel like, I can't cope anymore and going through burnout. So remember what I said before. Before COVID, we had a high rate of burnout already. But now with COVID, the statistics that I've been reading lately, we're talking about twice the rate of burnout because of COVID, but even if we work from home, okay? So, and we have poll number 3 here. If Simon, if you can put it out here. So this is poll number 3. And this is really about, checking on how many hours of social media that you're spending a day. Okay, so go through those questions, and there's no right or wrong answer, but this is really about helping us to be aware that, how we spend our day on that little screen. And I think it's absolutely crucial. It's absolutely crucial to have that awareness, and later to have that intention to be able to reduce, or even better, to stop that overload of social media consumption. Okay, so for you to know, we are spending in average before COVID, we're spending in average about 4.5 hours. Now we don't have enough statistics about COVID, during this time, but I'm pretty sure it's even more. So this is really, really crucial. Okay, so we're talking, so let me just share a few results here. And we have around 4 hours a day. Okay, so 4 hours a day for most of you, and a lot of you, so nearly 70% have news notification on the phone. And my question for you here is, do we need to be notified about the news every hour, every minute? Maybe not. So maybe the brain, like what we said before, maybe the brain needs to rest a little bit. So I think this is important. So we know that we need to do some physical exercise. We know this, but sometimes we forget that we're not Superman and Superwoman, and we need to let the brain rest as well. So having a constant login, constant notification on our phone about the news actually stresses as well. Okay. All right. So the news impact obviously has a tremendous impact on us. Okay. So if you want to just share on the chat room, if there's any impact on you, please feel free to use the chat room and share, the effect and the impact on what the news have on you. But I really urge you just to not be over or optimistic or not playing the role of, being Superman or Superwoman, because we always think that we're not stressed. We always think that we're okay. But the thing is, there's a lot of statistics at the moment showing that, more than ever, the news overload has a tremendous impact on our mental health. So that is something that I like us to stay, to be aware and to have that intention to change if we want to. Okay. So mood, that is truly important to be understanding. The mood is linked to what's happening to you. So we're reading a lot of news, yes, but most of us are reading a lot of unpleasant and negative news, and I think that we all agree on this. So this is probably 90% of the news that we're reading on our news read unpleasant and negative. This has an impact, obviously, on our mood. So think about this. So this is exactly what's happening when we train people in emotional intelligence. Whatever happens to the intake to your brain has also an output of negative mood towards you. So the mood on you and the moods towards the people you're working with, or also the people that you are dealing with, maybe at home, it's absolutely something that we are not fully aware of, especially when we are contained in that stress sphere, so which is completely normal. So again, so this is the tip that we gave before, is to be able to have that space, that transition space, that third space, having some self-awareness that I am going through that space, that spiral of negative news, negative moods, negative emotions, and I don't want to be there anymore. I really need to have the intention to be able to stop, to step out, and just to reflect on how can I reduce that kind of impact on me. Okay, so the challenge that everything has on our mindset and belief is absolutely tremendous. So we can change our mindset if we want to, but we need to want to, obviously. Nothing is, nothing is infinite. Nothing is having an impact on you permanently. Everything depends on our mindset. So for a few countries, I think in Australia and the Philippines and Switzerland, we're still going through self-isolation. So for Vietnam, things are changing a little bit now, but I really want us to remember to be able to take some space out and be able to step out of that zone where we are in at the moment. So having that sense of perspective, so having that mindset saying like, it's okay, to go through that kind of uncertainty, but I can manage it. Okay, so for the people and the countries who are going through self-isolation, really think, when we are saying my friends and I can't see each other anymore, so when we are self-isolating, really reframing it. So this is what we do about the cognitive reframing. We're talking about, well, we are protecting each other. We are protecting, the community, the country. So it's really a cognitive reframing. When we are saying, I'm stuck at home, look at the vocabulary, the word that we're using. We are not stuck at home. We are staying home because actually I'm safe at home. I'm actually very lucky to be home. A lot of people in India, for instance, don't even have a home to go to. So it's really about really reframing. We can be safe if we are seeing it. So it's really about cognitive reframing. I have lost all my freedom, and I think a lot of us have felt that. So it's also really remembering, that we are going through, a noble purpose. We want to protect the family. We are going something bigger. It's not just about me. Remember, when we are going through that negative spiral, our words are shrinking. We're just thinking about our survival, which is completely normal. But really think we are safe together. So this is really about, going through reframing again. I miss the things I love. I'm sure that a lot of us are missing the gym, missing the pool, missing the park, the walk to the park and walking the dogs outside. That's true. But also a technique that we can do here is about, reframing it and seeing what you have already rather than wanting what you don't have at the moment. So really want what you already have. So maybe if you stay home, we are lucky we have a home. Maybe we are also healthy because we're staying home in a healthy way. So really nurturing, that sense of gratitude, which is truly important. So then, we can really feel more happy and having more positive emotions in our life. Okay. So let's go through the next one. So I think that we are all going through 5 phases through the coronavirus. Okay, so this is something that people are traveling in their own space. It depends on the country where you're living, obviously. So, things in Europe are very different from things in China or in Hong Kong, Philippines, or Vietnam. But everybody's traveling through the same type of psychological phase, which is completely normal. Okay, so there's no sense of judgment, but it's really looking through the 5 phases we're going through. I think that we all agree that the phase 1 is really going through survival. So we all went through that things like, what's happening to us? I'm not sure what's happening. I don't understand. And then this is when you go through, holding supermarkets, phase. So this is, adaptation to the disruption. Okay, so this is really the phase 1. We try to survive, and survival is the first phase, the basic phase in emotional need that we need to go through to be able to the other phase in the emotional need pyramid. Phase 2 is about, the security phase. So most of us are staying home now. So we understand that, we are safe. And this is the completely normal phase that we have to go through. So this is the phase where we are trying to adapt and do things in another way and trying to understand and adapt to changes. So then we can feel safe. So this is phase number 2. Phase number 3 is what we call the phase of belonging. Okay, so this is one. It's truly important to understand that we need to belong, even if we cannot see each other, but we can feel that somebody else is next to us, even through Skype or through Zoom. So this is why the question at the start we were asking before is, do you feel connected enough or not with your team, with your supervisors? And that is the question where it's important here. We need to feel that we belong. And this is a completely normal emotional need that we are going through. So this is the new normal that we're going through. This is the phase where we can start to relax a little bit, feel less stress, and have time for your me time. This is time where we start just to go through the transition to the 4th phase, which is the sense of transformation, the phase of importance. So this is the phase where your me time is important. A lot of us now are doing online courses, doing webinars to understand what's happening. What can I do to upskill myself to be prepared for COVID, for post-COVID? And this is a completely normal phase, okay? So this is the phase of self-transformation, your me time. So which is going through the phase number 5, and probably the last phase, is we are not fearful anymore. We have things under control, or we had the perception that we have things under control. We have a new life. And it's like what Brian was saying before, it's a bit like, we are not used to getting outside anymore. So we are adapting ourselves to our new lifestyles. And it takes time for all of us to be to that phase, but this is the phase where we are ready for post-COVID. And it's completely normal to go through those 5 phases. And, we go through them with our own speed, obviously, but it's very, very crucial to understand that we don't need to judge ourselves where we're at. It's a normal way to evolve. Okay, so you might have seen this already, but I really like to you to go through that graph. So maybe Simon and Andrew, you can put the next poll out, and I like us to go through those zones together. So when COVID happened a few months ago, a few weeks ago, we all went through the fear zone. Okay, so this is when we went through the panic buy. This is when you are very irritated with a lot of people, with the government, with the neighbors, with everything. And I think that that is completely normal. Okay, we don't understand what's happening. We start to blame. We blame this country. We blame that government. So that is the fear zone. And then we are moving, remember? So we are linking it to what we did in the previous slide, going through the 5 zone. And then we start to understand that, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. The only thing we can do is to protect ourselves and to be a good citizen and to protect the community by social distancing, physical distancing, but not emotional distancing. So you have really that that attitude of going through the learning zone, and a lot of us are going through the learning zone through learning, through webinars, understanding what's happening to us and what is it that I can do, to move forwards, because all of us want to move forwards. Then we are going through the growth zone, and the growth zone is really about servicing, servicing others. What is it that we can do now? So not looking through the fear zone anymore, but really going through the growth zone, where what is it that I can do to better myself? What is it that I can do to help the people in my team, to be better equipped for post-COVID? So this is the zone where you are looking forward. So you see that the tunnel has the end, and you see, we know where we're going. We have a solution for this. We are helping, the team to go through it together. We run a lot of events together. We run social drinks on Friday night. So this is all the kind of things where we are really helping everyone to go together. Okay, so, and then we have also the post-COVID zone now. So the post-COVID zone now, it's where we are ready to move forward. So you can see in Vietnam, so it's a bit different from Australia or the Philippines or Switzerland, but post-COVID, in Vietnam, we start just to move forward. What is it that we can do to prepare our staff, to be able to adapt themselves again to a new normal? So there's not such a thing as the normal as such as what we're used to, but how can we adapt again to the new normal? And this is something that I like us to also remember. We're all going through those zones together, but obviously at different speed. Okay, so let's have a look here at the result of the poll here. So 12% of us are in the fear zone, okay? Nearly 50% are going through the learning zone, so learning what's happening, 30% through the growth zone, and 8% of us are going through the post-COVID zone. Okay, so this is, this is just to help you, to understand where we are going through, and it's normal, that we all traveling through over zone together. It's not about judging ourselves. We should be in this zone quicker. It's no sense of, judging yourself. The importance here is just to be kind to yourself, to really nurture compassion and bringing some compassion and understanding where you are. Okay. So talking about positivity here, what I like you to do here is, think about positive words or many positive words that you can write on the chat room, and really trying to rewire actually your brain to things in a more positive way. Okay. And Simon and Andrew, can you please put the next poll out, please? And you can probably see the last poll. So this is really helping you just to think positively, because it's very, very difficult to think positively when we are stressed. Think about it. When we are stressed, you cannot see solutions, okay, which is completely normal, because this is what the brain does. The brain is going through, a threat mode, is going through survival mode. So we are focusing on, on our survival mode, which is normal. So what I like us to do now is to be able just to think about, what is it that I can get out of that negative of spiral of negativity to go through positivity. Okay, so by doing this kind of exercise daily, it's very, very crucial for your health, the health of your brain, to be able just to think more positively if you have self-awareness and intention as well. Okay, so let's share here the result. Okay, so do you feel that the work that you are doing and the effort that you are making are well acknowledged by your boss and your colleague during COVID? Fantastic to have 91%, and this is really, really nice to see this word. So we have 10% of people who are saying no, but let me just share that this is a very good news, because that means that your company is doing well. Even when we're communicating or over communicating with our staff digitally, through Zoom or Skype or Teams or whatsoever, it's very important that that the team acknowledge and the supervisors acknowledge that you are working from home as efficiently as you can, even from home. And I think this is absolutely a message of optimism that we're seeing here. So it's a bit sad here that we have 10% of people here who are saying no, but I'm sure that there's room for improvement. So maybe those people here are still going through different phases of the 5 phases that we're going through at the moment, the psychological phases. It's okay. So maybe you can suggest to those people that you're working with, to improve, to have more networking, digitally, to have more social networking, to have more drinks together, eat drinks together, to have more weekly meeting. And this is absolutely crucial to feel connected digitally. Okay. So, and you can see the last question. So are you happy that Vietnam is one of the best performing countries in the world in managing the COVID-19 outbreak? So we have 96% of people here who are saying yes, which is absolutely fantastic. And I think that we are very lucky to be in Vietnam during this time. And I think that would be a one-off probably for a long time. But I think that Vietnam has done really well, and I think that we all agree on this. So maybe there's one person here who doesn't seem to agree, so I'm not sure why, but maybe we can comment on the chat box or have a question later together. Thank you. Okay. So to conclude here, so the few tips that I'd like to share with you today is Be aware of your social media consumption. Okay, that is very, very crucial to your mental health. So coronavirus or not coronavirus is still the same advice. Okay, so this is what I advise a lot to my coaching clients, and I think that's very important to set an intention of reducing, but at least be aware of the impact of social media consumption on our mental health. Okay, so stop the news notification or reduce them if you want to. What I do at home here, so we don't have notification. I don't have notification, and we are stopping our usage of social media and our phone consumption from basically from 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. So there's, so if you want to reach me, you probably have to wait. But this is something that we are very aware of. So please, you might like just to explore this strategy as well. Set up a work routine, and that is crucial. So it's a lot of disruption. So maybe a lot of us will be able to work from home, from your new office, maybe next week, not too sure yet. But most of us are still working from home. So please, set a routine like if it was a work day routine. You do not work at midnight, so you should not work at midnight at home neither. So this is crucial because the brain needs to be to have some certainty, and by setting up a routine, you actually help the brain to be less stressed. Okay. Online learning is something that I advise a lot of people to do. It's because it gives you also a framework of certainty. So you can set up, online learning on Monday morning or whatsoever, and then you are looking forward to that Monday morning and do your online learning to upskill yourself and to be ready for post-COVID. Okay, so setting up a work from home routine, as we said already, and physical activity. So I usually advise 4 times a week every morning if you can, because this is when you have your burst of dopamine. And dopamine is a chemical in the brain which you need to feel happier. Okay, mindfulness, yoga, tai chi, qigong, whatsoever, or yoga. Really, yoga is very important because it helps you to slow down. It helps the brain to slow down. So this is something that you might like to explore as well. There's a lot of app on App Store that you can download. It helps you how to start to meditate. Maybe you can start slowly, maybe 5 minutes a day from the start, maybe not an hour a day, but maybe 5 minutes, and you will see the progress. Enjoy a go-to activity, drawing, painting, whatsoever, but something is like that third space that we were mentioning before. It's about, taking a third step, going through the third space where you can do something else so you can really relax mentally. Okay, what we do here is having an alarm every 90 minutes, so I can stand up, I go out and take a glass of water. So I have a 90 minutes break of maybe a minute or two, it does not matter, but it's literally having a routine of not sitting too much. And I can do my meetings, my webinar while walking around the house, and it has been a habit at home here. Practice gratitude journaling. So this is what we were mentioning before. Gratitude is one of the pillars of positive psychology to help your well-being. So you can practice gratitude every day, and you can really stop and nurture that kind of feeling. Okay. Accept emotions, whatever emotions you are going through. It does not matter, even if you feel you're having some kind of negative emotion, it does not matter, but be curious about it. So this is about an exercise that we do in emotional intelligence. So this is an exercise that we always tell people: stop, don't judge, accept, and be curious about your emotions. Okay, so connect through Zoom, WhatsApp. So be active rather than be reactive. So you can be the one to initiate the calls as well. And this is an advice that I always tell to everyone. If you need help, do ask for help. Just don't sit with, a lot of negative emotions and sit there and wait for things to get better. It's actually we need to be very proactive about this. So basically, it's a lot of advices you can take away, but basically, if you really want to remember 3, is set up a good routine, stop notification from news, physical exercise, and mindfulness. Mindfulness is absolutely crucial to help you to feel less stressed. Okay, so the last activity that I like us to do together is a checkout, an emotional checkout. So can you write please in the chat room how you feel now? Just one emotion, okay? We don't need to write a sentence, I wish I could feel whatever, but just one emotion. How do you feel now? Do you feel like you have enough tools and strategy? Do you have enough understanding about what you can do next? Are you ready to act on the strategy, and how do you feel now? So just write on the chat room and just share with everyone if you want to. So this is an exercise that we do in emotional intelligence, so that we can connect with authenticity and accept that we can be vulnerable without judging how we feel. And this is very, very important, especially for mental health, especially now. Okay, so thank you very much for sharing. And so you can QR the QR code here if you want to. We have plenty of resources on our website, and we even have books on mental health, on leadership as well, helping with emotional intelligence if you want to have a look. And I think I can probably ask Brian here just to come back with us and see if we have any questions from the audience.
Thank you very much, Mai. There's a lot of comments there, but not really too many questions, although people have mentioned that it's difficult to balance staying connected by phone and not using social media. So, and I know that myself, I've got 2 computers, I've got a smartphone, and I'm sitting in an office. So you've probably covered it in a way, but how do you, what's your advice to stop people from having WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., open?
Well, I'm not going to say that we need to stop, but I think what what I like us to have, after this session, is to be aware that there's a lot of impact on our mental health. So I use my LinkedIn, for instance, I use my WhatsApp, but I think what we have to be careful is to know how much we're using every day. So if you're using 4 hours, or if you're using 8 hours, that is quite different. If you're using, and I think that's millennial generation are using even more than, older generation. We're talking about, people who are picking up the phone up to 150 times a day. So this is the kind of addiction that we have to be careful, because it has an impact on us. So if we can reduce, that's great. Stopping is probably difficult, because we all need to be connected to be able to work from home, and I completely agree with you all. But I think it's to be aware and set an intention of saying, I want to be in control of my social media. So I want to be the one who controlling it, rather than the social media controlling us. And I think that is the very subtle balance that we have to go through. Yes.
And of course, people, there's plenty of positive comments here as well. Of course, the news has come that we're going to start moving back to normal. And for people that maybe haven't been at work for 2, 3, or 4 weeks, what advice do you have about the transition from the isolated situation to go back to work, which can be a bit strange for people too?
Yes, well, the issue with us, and I mentioned before, is that we are human beings, and I think that we have to acknowledge that we are vulnerable. And when we are vulnerable, it's actually very courageous to say, like, you know, it's okay not to know. It's okay not to excel yet, but it's okay to go through it together. And I think that this is courageous attitude, especially from leaders who encourage people to take it step by step, because we're all on the same boat at the same time. The fact that we are not, the fact that we don't have the answer, so we are living in the uncertainty, and this is very, very disturbing, because our brain does not like it. We much prefer to know, are we going to stay home for 1 more week, yes or no? Or are we going to stay, are we going to open the school, you know, next week, yes or no? But the fact that, you know, a lot of countries don't really know and stand, and, you know, days are changing every day, you know, like, you know, solutions or decisions from the government, whatever. And that is the problem with for a lot of us, because the fact that it's, of course, it's disruption, but the fact that it's we are navigating through uncertainty, and we don't like it. The brain does not like it. We want our routine. Even if with the routine of going to work, we don't especially like the commute, but actually at the moment, 50% of us, it seems like from research, that we only 50% enjoy working from home, 50. And which is really interesting, because before COVID, we were all saying we all want to have a flexible working arrangement with our company. We all want to be able to work from home whatsoever. Now we have it, and only 50% of us said that we enjoy working from home, which means we miss going to work, we miss the social connection, but we also maybe miss the physical office. So this is another element that I like us just to keep in mind, is how complex we are. So we want flexibility, but at the same time we have the flexibility now, but because we need to adapt to each time to new things almost every week or every day, that is very unsettling for us. And that is the challenge for all the leaders which are going through now, because they need to help the team to feel connected, but also to feel like, you know, we have a routine at work, even if most of us are working from home. Yeah. And I think you are still on mute, Brian.
Okay, one more comment here, which I'll turn into a question, is from one of our audiences, that they're more ready to have a balanced lifestyle. Maybe the question coming out of that is, you know, what would you suggest to people to learn from this experience and not go back to the old ordinary, but to create a new, the old normal, but to create a new normal for themselves after everything does get back to whatever normal is in the future?
Well, pre-COVID or after COVID, I think that we have learned a lot about ourselves. I think we have learned a lot about how adaptable we can be, and if we want to have new habits, we can have them, we can act on them. And I think this is a biggest lesson, a very interesting lesson for all of us, is that even if we were convinced before COVID for others that we couldn't work from home, now we can see that we can work from home, even for positions which were supposed not to be able to be flexible. So to have that balance is really, really about setting up a routine. And setting up routine is about being able to have discipline with ourselves. Like us at home here, we always have, even before COVID, we always had our journaling of reflection on a daily basis. What is it that I have done? What is it that I think I should have done? And the things that I don't want to do. And I think that is very important to be able to stick to that sense of routine, to say, like, the things that I don't want to do, you can track it on a daily basis. If you have checked, for instance, I don't know, 50 times Facebook within 1 hour, you can track it. And is it something that you don't want to do? You just tick it. At the end of the week or the day, you can see, this is something that I want to change. How is it that how can I change it? First, by noticing it. So, and I think that you have a dashboard, a physical dashboard, and you see what you do and what you don't do, and what you would like to become. When you really see that dashboard, it helps you just to be able to, okay, I'm going to work on this point only. How can I be more disciplined about it? And to create habit is not that easy, but when you have a dashboard on writing, actually, believe me, this is what we do a lot with our coaching client. It does work because you are accountable with someone else or to yourself as well. So yes.
Okay, I think that you've probably covered the strategies for not opening Facebook when we pick up the phone. So we have to take more control and maybe shut media down. I don't think there's any other questions, but I'd like, Mai, if you could say a few words just to finish off on your wonderful presentation.
Well, thank you very much for listening. I'm very glad to be able to share a few tips with you today. And I think that I'm very happy and I'm very grateful for Ostian, Simon, Andrew, Brian, and Min, for allowing us to share, a few tips for you, because I think that mental health, more than ever, it's something that we need to nurture. We need to nurture with intention. And COVID has put us into our way. We were not prepared for it, but somehow we are adaptable, and I think we're very flexible, and I think that we can do it. We can do it together, and a lot of us have done it together already. And I think that people are feeling more resilient and even more confident. And I think that we are ready, for that kind of change, and we are ready for post-COVID.
Okay, thank you very, very much, Mai. I'd also like to, on behalf of the Australian Chamber of Commerce, thank all the audience, and I hope you all enjoyed it and learned got a few ideas on how to improve your life. Thank you all again, and for what it's worth, have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll be back to face-to-face workshops in the very near future. Thank you very much.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.